Because I dare anybody to come and tell me that they've never joked about someone else and laughed at someone else's expense, whether it was done in public or not done in public. So let us all sit down and get off our little haughty little thrones when we want to talk about him making jokes. That's his job, his whole life, his whole career has been making jokes. He was paid to make jokes that night. And when you go to a comedy club or when you listen to YouTube or Netflix or you watch it on HBO or whatever venue that you watch it on, you've heard jokes in your entire life that you didn't agree with, that you didn't find funny, but you didn't go and smack the person. So, I'll even make this point, and I know there will be disagreements to it, but that's fine. We make degrees in every aspect of our lives. And I heard someone post that you shouldn't lessen or demean alopecia and compare it to other illnesses. Yes, it's an autoimmune. Hell, I'm bald. I've been bald since started going bald and thinning when I was 35 years old. She's not the only one that deals with that, and women aren't the only ones that deal with that. Or the vanity that goes along with it and how you're going to look without hair. It's a part of life, one. We're all flawed, two. And just like I said in the last podcast, I've learned to laugh at myself. Hell, if you can't laugh at yourself, you're going to live a miserable life, in my opinion. So no, a joke about alopecia did not rise to the level of smack. Hell, we've been joking about bald men and going bald and all these different things related to being bald for all my life. And then I'd like to also address it in this sense. There are people that have put out there about things that he had shared with his therapist and even publicly, and I've even heard snippets of it, about him witnessing abuse, domestic violence when he was young, and that was the trigger. Well, I'm sorry, I can't buy that either. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm dumping on Will. I'm just using this particular incident as an example of how we take our minds to a place sometimes so quickly without really counting up the cost of our actions. Let me just say it like that for right now. But yes, this person, again, we talk about degrees, and I might be digressing a little bit. We talk about degrees, but hell, we do first degree murder, second degree murder, third degree murder, manslaughter. Why? Because there's different severities in the actions, right? Alopecia is not like Parkinson's disease. It is not like Alzheimer's. It is not like cancers. It's not, and it doesn't rise to the level like that. I'm sorry. But then to the domestic violence piece. I've witnessed domestic violence. I have also been a victim of it in my lifetime. And so I bring that up because I did not like how people wanted to say that that was a trigger for him going up and slapping the disrespects, quote unquote, to Jada via the joke. And the reason why I say that is because I witnessed it. Nothing else in my life that I've experienced from experiencing witnessing that and experiencing the domestic violence caused me to react like that to just something that someone said. Now, again, we all react differently, so I understand that. But I'm going somewhere with this. Because I'm sure that somewhere in life, every last one of us has had someone say something to us that we felt offended by. And guess what? I'm sure that each and every one of us, whether you knew it or you didn't know it, has said something or done something that has offended someone else. So the question that I want to ask is, who gets to decide? Who gets to decide what offenses that someone gets to then lay your hands on someone? I mean, I really want to know that. That's the question. Because if the criteria is just whatever I'm offended by, and that's what we see play out, and we're starting to see play out. I mean, just the list of places since then, from Brooklyn to Sacramento, and the list goes on of places that people we've had these mass shootings just since then. And no, I'm not blaming Will Slap on that. But the mentality behind why people do that, well, I felt offended. Well, right here in Atlanta, just a few days after that incident, we had people fighting in a gym over a basketball game. And I guarantee you, I don't know the specifics. But it was about somebody being offended by something. And the young man went out to his car, grabbed the gun, and he came back and shot the other young man right in front of the gym. Over these so-called offenses. I'm sorry, I'm going to jump back for a second, but if you're very sensitive about stuff like that, sit your ass down and stay home. Don't go to a comedy club or a comedy, whatever, where there's going to be comedy. Because that is their job, to make fun of people and life and behaviors. That's what they get paid to do. So if you don't like that, if you find offenses to it, then stop. Then don't go. You can't tell that person that they can't do what they are supposed to get, what they're getting paid to do. Now, you may find offense to porn, right? But it's legal. So, and people get paid to do it. So you can be mad about it, but you can't stop them from doing it. So you just shouldn't go if you take offense to stuff like that. Because I go back again and say that everybody, I guarantee you've laughed at something that was inappropriate. So then do you need to get slapped? Because everybody should just then turn their face up and get ready to get slapped. Because I guarantee you said something or did something that offended somebody else. So where do we draw the line? That's the question. Who gets to decide? But the most disturbing part about all of it to me, and this is just to me again, is those, and well, one, this country, I don't know about everybody else's country, because I'm not there and I don't look at their statistics. And I'll just use statistics as a barometer. But most of the people in this country have stated that they have a belief system, a belief in God. Now, whether you do or not, this still pertains. But I was like so taken aback by the fact that so many people that call themselves believers, your first response is to congratulate somebody for violence. That your first thought is violence is the right thing. And in particular, in this particular situation. I mean, what happened to following what God says? And people wonder why they don't have powers, because what you say you follow, you don't follow and you don't believe it. If you believed it, then it would become an everyday part of your life and you would respond and react to situations differently. Did we forget that? And again, let me be very clear. I'm not trying to say that you should be a passive individual, but you tell me where Chris Rock physically or in any way threatened her being. Because if then that happens, okay, then I can get behind. I can even get behind what he said, even though I didn't necessarily agree with the wording and all that. I could have gotten behind that had he just said that. Why do I say that? I say that because that's almost like a warning signal. Why do I say a warning signal? Because not everybody knows what is an offense to the next person. It's like trying to read somebody's mind. So sometimes we do offend people accidentally. I'll give you an example, though, about a warning signal, or two examples. Now, I was at the gas station around the corner from my house. And there's a gentleman that kind of walks through there. And from the different times that I've observed it, he might, I don't know, have a mental issue. Now, heard people have said different things. Well, he's, kind of blah, 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 crazy, whatnot. I don't necessarily pay attention, but I'm going to pay attention to my surroundings. I worked in security, so I'm always kind of aware, or I try to be aware of my surroundings. And as you're walking from the pumps, as you're walking to a station, you're going up to the door, you're walking through parked cars in between them. And as I was walking in between, he was walking through the parking lot as well. And he started walking up the same kind of lane crease in between the cars that I was. And I just kind of turned back behind me and I said, do not walk up on me like that. Now that was his warning. I was giving him a warning that you're making me uncomfortable. I do not like your presence that close up on me. Back the you-know-what up off me. Him saying and yelling, keep my wife's name out. That was enough. And he got the message when you said it. You said it twice. Although it was after the fact that you laid your hands on it. But you could have just done that. But what bothers me, because I'm going to get into that later, what I thought could possibly have been a scenario that would have worked out much better for him. Because we know now what the result of that has happened. I'm not going to rehash that. You've heard it all over. All those things could have been prevented and avoided, and he still could have been the champion of the situation. But yeah, I'm sitting back. I'm like, who gets there? We're going to get slap happy up in here then, because people are going to be getting slapped all the damn time. But what happened to believers, and with those, I'm going to use Christianity because that was what I was raised in. The Bible says to be angry, but sin not. So that means that God understands that we have the emotion of anger and that we will get angry at times and courses throughout our lives. So have the emotion, but keep yourself from committing a sin. Because that sin can be very damaging to your life. You look at what has happened to both of them. All the blame is being heaped on Will Smith. And Chris Rock is looking squeaky clean. Denzel Washington, also made some comments, and they reported about it, that he said, when you're at your highest, that's when the devil gets busy. Well, okay, and I'm not saying that I disagree with that, and that can be true, but here's the thing, and I'm not saying that every Christian knows everything, right? And every believer knows everything. But I am saying some of these things are very, very common, or should be common. They're not somewhere steep, deep off into the Old Testament, or where sometimes people don't read, or things of that nature. Now, I was afforded the opportunity to go study at a seminary. and I graduated.